Well, we're almost done with the year of 2019, and soon everyone will be so broke from the holidays they'll be role-playing bankers from 1929. So while we prepare for the bodies to hit the floor, let's dive right into the movies that I didn't get around to reviewing earlier this year. Annabelle Comes Home only to go straight into the trash when the Warrens decide that it would be best to not only bring Annabelle back home, but lock her in a display case like the last hooker who tried to escape from the Saudi king. Then they also left the home alone under the watch of a babysitter with a friend who personifies peer pressure. Then lo and behold, the horror starts right on cue, with objects coming to life and more jump scares than a Vietnam vet during the 4th of July. Alright, perhaps that is giving this movie too much credit, since this film did practically put me to sleep in the theater. And people walked in and out so much to buy snacks, I wouldn't be surprised if someone decided to go over and watch other films like Countdown. You would think at this point Hollywood would realize that you can't just put Joe Rogan's friends like Tom Segura in a film as a small role and expect us to roll over wagging our tails and let them piss in our mouths like R. Kelly. Countdown was just another terrible movie like Annabelle Comes Again, but with a completely unique twist. Now the story occurs by using modern-day technology. Albeleo, haven't we already seen that with VHS, The Ring, and Stay Alive? No, I meant modern technology. Oh, you mean like Unfriended and Friend Request and... Alright, we get it, Hollywood is out of ideas. Countdown is about an app on your phone that counts down to the time you're going to die. Go fig. And if you breach the terms of service, the demon comes and kills you ahead of time. So apparently this movie is proof that lawyers do go to hell when a demon that I can only imagine is at least older than Christ hired someone from Wolfram and Hart. That would at least help to explain how an ancient demon knows anything about phones, apps, or legally binding contracts. It's like a boring Final Destination, but with legal loopholes. And the only way for this movie's tone to finally settle would be to fully commit to the comedy part and have the main character sue the demon for harassment. You know, I had completely forgotten about this movie too, until I was going back through the list of films I've seen this year. Does anyone else like the occasional cop show? Personally, I like Criminal Minds, focusing on the psychology of choices made by characters and why someone might want to stick their dick in a tank full of crabs before murdering someone. Then I watched Black and Blue and realized the only one who thought this was a good idea was a desperate writer whose morning breakfast includes a few injections of mercury. The premise is that a rookie cop joins the precinct in New Orleans and immediately finds herself running from some dirty cops who just executed a drug dealer and seek out our heroine for her body camera. Now she must ninja her way back to the department to show the proof that she is innocent and arrest those who are responsible. It's too bad that you don't care for the screenplay, the story, the plot, the characters, or God forbid the logic, which makes about as much sense as Common Core math. You can basically sum this up as an expensive failed TV plot. You know, I'm glad I've done this for over a year now because I've changed intellectually as well, and I feel like I'm a lot more balanced. Many movies I look back on that I gave a positive or alright review, I would probably knock down a peg in hindsight to be more realistic. Sort of like how I used to think that imports were the only way to go. And I still do, because nothing quite gets me as hard as a 94 Toyota Supra with a turbo-installed 2JZ rocking so much torque that it can pretzel the driveshaft. But then again, a Toyota Supra going to a construction site makes about as much sense as Jeffrey Dahmer going to Five Guys. Ford v Ferrari is the only slightly exaggerated telling of how Ford whipped out its massive American dong and smacked everyone across the face that speaks foreign. Sort of like Call of Duty, but with Hot Wheels. Ford v Ferrari stars Matt Damon playing Carroll Shelby, one of the greatest car designers of all time, and Christian Bale as Ken Miles, who likes to yell at people who are incompetent, but this time it's a part of the script. Both Shelby and Miles are employed by Ford to design a supercar that can challenge Ferrari in the racing division. And so plays the story of the birth of the mighty Ford GT40 and how Ford made Enzo Ferrari and his team so mad they looked like Italian wacky-wavy inflatable arm-flailing tube men. Hard to imagine there was ever a time when Ford wasn't a joke of every car meetup considering they produced the Pinto. But that doesn't matter because this is a movie about a time of quality. Speaking of quality, Ford v Ferrari is actually quite good, and a breath of fresh air after wading back through the mire of filth that were the previous films in this video. In fact, this movie is so good, the poster is one of the few gripes I have with it since it's so bland. You like cars, history, racing, and or just damn good movies? Then check out Ford v Ferrari. This brings me to the final movie to catch up on. While it is still new, relatively speaking, Midway is a remake of the old 1976 film. For those who don't know, Midway was the most crucial battle fought in the Pacific during World War II that turned the tide of the war on that front. Basically, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor like a bunch of bitches, then America joined the World War II, and the war ended a few years later when Uncle Sam ended up on Japan's doorstep and delivered the knockout combo of 1 and 2 with Little Boy and Fat Man. But first came Midway, in which the US was horribly ill-prepared, but still managed to pull off perhaps the single most important victory with more handicaps than the ER wing of a hospital. And perhaps that's a fitting comparison since this movie time jumps to cram in more events than a couple bar hopping on St. Patrick's Day, and sloppy editing in a number of places have people talking when their mouths aren't moving and vice versa, like Jeff Dunham had to take a drink of water. Overall, just an alright film that tried to bite off more than it could chew, like John Candy taking on the old 96er. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more weekly reviews, and I'll see you in the next video.